of the cool things about Persepolis and Demna, two of them, right, is that consider that the effect that it and the appeal that it has correlates to the repetition of the waves. That's like before this setting up, the repetition was trying to get mass media manipulation and and induce hysterics for to convert into very different types of like there's little like blitzes, like little psychological blitzes and little attacks and shit that they come up with, right? Before it was that, it wasn't a bad thing. Like the repetition of the waves, right? And think like sunlight slows down. Sunlight is solar waves. Sunlight slows down and becomes sound. Sound waves slows down to become matter, which matter is vibrational waves in a solid state. Then slows down again, and it becomes aroma on waves of carried by the wind. And with Persepolis and Demna, it's it's gonna be serene. It's gonna be impressive, at least as far as looking for the mysteries in structural engineering, and the effect that it would have is like leaves you with the waves coming in and going out. You know, trying to set up the repetition in a degenerative Saturnalian type of consumerist, like driven, like low frequency, as to like where it's like calling on or working with energies that correlates to Sekhmet. And like Tiamat correlates to Tiamat's mares, and then Hercules and Diocedes, and in this instance, like Hecate and Sekhmet, and like I wouldn't want to be that. I wouldn't want to be that. I don't want to like I don't know. Is that the astronomers I would be thrown into the lake of fire? Probably, but I just wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to go there anyways. Like, so don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because this is also part of, you know, the making you susceptible to monarch butterfly sex kitten programming to break your psyche, make you a handler, you know, and handlers were broken before, you know, and when you throw off a handler, like they 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 they're like they scratch you basically. They condescend, they're demoralizing. You know, they could scratch you. They don't necessarily, they don't turn you into a clever fella, you know what I mean? They don't exposure, but it is about exposure, you know what I mean? Because that's the thing, right? With the exposure and you becoming is already a valuable characteristic in society if you're just becoming. We already have a word for that, right? Then like there the thing is like exposure allows you to try things you wouldn't know, you know, do things like you wouldn't come up with, and like you can bounce back. You can bounce back. You know what I mean? And handlers, a lot of times they were picked or chosen because they were in a boom time. They grew up in a boom time. You know, they call boomers and stuff. Like, and it was like you could always, you could just find a job easily. Like you could you just like have a house and a car, like you know what I'm saying, like because it was like post-war boom time. So like that's when they brought in the Ed Sullivan Show and the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and Elvis and like to the mass hysteria. It was like like I'm not saying that those people were implicit. I'm not saying that. Is that there's a reason why they like certain tracks or songs. Like one person explained to me that about I left my wallet in El Segundo. Uh, the elite really liked that song for some reason or something. They were like, and I don't really know too much of what what that meant to him. Um, it's kind of like there's like it did mean something to him, and in a correlated way that I can't explain.